What is up guys, TGA19 here, and today we're finally going to be doing the review for the Division Open Beta. I've played around about 3.5 hours now of the actual beta itself, and I think I'm more than entitled now to give you my opinion of the beta overall. Now of course I do know there was a closed one during the end of January, but unfortunately I was on holiday while that was on, and even worse, I got a code for it, so I had to give it away to someone, so I wasn't able to play the beta then. So yeah, this is my first taste of the Division, and I couldn't wait to see what the game was going to be like, but now that I've played it for a fair few amount of hours, I think I'm now entitled to give my opinion on it, say whether I think it's a good beta or not, and whether it's like heightened or dampened my hype for the game when it does come out next month. So of course, the beta in itself, it's a bit of a hit and miss. I'd say it's a mostly very positive beta, but there are definitely some negatives that I have with the beta in itself, but let's just go through them all. So let's go with the things that I did like about the beta. First off, I did like the gameplay. I felt it was very rock solid and very consistent. You know, the guns all feel very, very well. Movement in the game is very, very good. And I do love the cover system in this game. It reminds me a lot of the Splinter Cell cover system, which was used quite heavily in Watch Dogs as well. And it's very good. It's basically where you press the X button on the PlayStation 4 to go into cover. And it's just very, very good. And this is definitely a very cover-based game, kind of like Gears of War. Whereas in that, if you don't stick to cover, you will end up dead very quickly. And you do need to work as a team in this game to defeat players, and also the AI, when of course they increase in difficulty. Now, the first thing you should all automatically know about it, the game, is that I do feel it's very good with the gameplay. However, I did find it to get a bit repetitive after a while. Like, it just did get a bit boring to constantly shoot enemies all of the time, you know. And then essentially, because obviously you increase in level, they increase in damage, and then they just end up becoming bullet sponges, and then it just reminds me of Destiny a bit too much, and it definitely annoyed me a little bit. But I mean, the gameplay in itself is very solid, and there's definitely no gameplay flaws there. There weren't any bugs or glitches that I found. There were a few pop-in textures, but that was about it. And considering this is a beta, I'm very impressed by Ubisoft, considering especially in the closed beta, I heard a lot of reports of people cheating with bugs and glitches and stuff like that. The other thing I really like about the beta as well is definitely the Dark Zone. If you don't know what this is essentially the player versus player area, where you go in to get extra loot, basically, that's extra value than what you'll find by defeating AI, and it's very, very good. I like it for quite a few reasons, but the main one is just the fact of how unpredictable it is. Essentially, you can work with a team of strangers to get some loot, but the fun thing is that you actually have the ability to backstab them, kill them, and then take their loot, but in return they can do the same thing to you. And it really does cause you to be wary of the people you trust online, because you can go with one group and then work really well together, then as soon as you get your loot, they could all automatically kill you and then steal your loot. And I really like that as a concept. I think it's a very good, you know, multiplayer mode, and I hope that when the actual game comes out, that it will be as fun as it is on the beta, because it seems very, very good, and it definitely shows a lot of promise. I mean, I know me and the gaming front, who of course played the beta with me, definitely did enjoy that. But then yet again, I also did find it to get a bit repetitive after a while, because it just was kind of the same thing over and over again, just trying to find loot and extract it. And I mean, that was good. And then also the game graphically for a beta does look pretty good in terms of its graphics. I'm not going to complain there. However, now we have to get on to the negatives, and the biggest negative for me was just it reminded me a bit too much of Destiny. And I mean, I'm not hating on Destiny. I mean, Destiny is an alright game, but the reason I just can't stand it is because of the fact of it taking so long to grind just to find enjoyment out of the game. And I have that feeling in the back of my head that the Division is going to be the exact same, because when I was playing this beta, I just found it to be very boring. Like, I was enjoying it the first probably hour and a half to 2 hours, but then the last like hour of the game that I was playing, I just got incredibly bored. Like, it was literally, I was just going to the Dark Zone, stealing stuff, and it was too easy. The game was essentially too easy. I mean, I had really good weapons on me because of all the stuff I'd extracted from the Dark Zones, and the game just for me was very boring and ended up being a bit simplistic, really, to be honest with you. I mean, I understand that some people might like that. People might like the fact that, you know, enemies are bullet sponges, or that you have to have looting, and you really do have to grind the game to get a sense of fun out of it. But for me, I don't really get that. It's just very boring to me whenever a game tries to do that, and I definitely did think that the game just and also the amount of content that was locked in the beta, because the thing was, I would stumble across something, think, oh man, that really seems cool, and then you turn it, and it turns out that obviously you can't access it because it's a beta. But it just annoys me why Ubisoft even left it in there in the first place with some of the stuff. I mean, and then also the story. The story is very, very bad. I mean, not only is it barely touched upon and bears no significance on the actual gameplay, but two, it's like Ubisoft have just stopped caring with stories anymore. It's like they've just accepted that they can't write decent stories, and it's a shame, because this game could potentially have a good story. But when I was playing the game, when I was trying paying close attention, and there was barely any story. The only story I understood was the fact that there was a cure. There was a virus that wiped out all of New York, and essentially what you're trying to do is find the man who essentially caused it so he can create a cure for it. I think that's what happens, and I say I think because the game does a really poor job of explaining it to you. And definitely I hope that in the main game, the story's a lot better explained to us all, rather than what they tried to show us. Overall, I would say that the Division Beta is definitely worth downloading, but I'm not sure whether it's going to be good enough to make you want to purchase the final game. Of course, I'm not going to give a rating on a beta because, I mean, it's a limited version of a full game, so I can't really do that. But instead, I'm going to give it a recommendation rating, which is basically whether I say don't try the beta, or definitely try it. With this one, I would say try it and then see how you feel. I wouldn't 100% recommend the beta because I know that this Destiny type of game isn't for everyone. But if you're interested in it, then I think you might enjoy this game. Thanks all for watching my beta review of The Division. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and please subscribe for more.